We know after the NBA draft, our Chicago Bulls and us, we're going to be following how the Chicago Bulls utilize their salary cap. Can they be creative with it? That's why on today's episode, I'm asking you all, should Cason Wallace be an early trade target for the Chicago Bulls? We're going to talk about that. And on the back end of today's episode, we're going to break down a prospect by the name of Labaron Philon out of Bama. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first. Cognac, gang. Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down for today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in, like talking Bulls basketball, especially around these good times, make sure you go ahead and support the channel in the easiest way. It's a two-step process. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as we are on our way to 10K. Now follow me. I just recently did an episode with my brother Hayes on Locked On Bulls, and that was an interesting conversation that we were having about the usage of the Chicago Bulls salary cap. So I'm going to ask you all the same question that was asked to me. If you are the Chicago Bulls, would you want to utilize your salary cap on more so on restricted free agents or absorbing bad contracts to stack assets? I'm going to ask you one more time. Should the Chicago Bulls use their salary cap more on restricted free agents or absorbing bad contracts to stack assets? The way that I went with the question was, I'd rather use it on restricted free agency to get some younger players up in here, some potentials that you could potentially grab. We're talking about the Walker Kessler. We're talking about Mark Williams. We're talking about Peyton Watson. So what interesting thing that I went down a rabbit hole is to look around the landscape of some teams who may be running into some financial troubles within the next few seasons that the Chicago Bulls can strike on early and utilize what they have to potentially snatch another player from another team, pay that player because due to some circumstances, the team that player is currently on might not be able to retain said player. So I hope you all are following. This led me to Cason Wallace, a really good basketball player for the Oklahoma City Thunder, a champion, a guard who has size. You know what I'm saying? Probably not the biggest one, probably 6'3", 6'4", but a really experienced basketball player. And with given time, we're going to see that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to have to depart with some of their young players due to Cason Wallace becoming a restricted free agent in 2026-27 after that season. And with him being a restricted free agent and the expectation of him potentially being paid $22 million, the Oklahoma City Thunder will not be able to retain him because they are already paying guys like SGA, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. So keeping that in mind, I think that the Chicago Bulls could potentially have some foresight and move forward with an opportunity like this to continuously infuse this basketball team with talent. It's a really good thing to discuss. And even when Cason Wallace becomes a restricted free agent, and I know this is a bit looking way into the future a little bit here, the Oklahoma City Thunder will have to make decisions on guys like Lou Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein. Those are going to be decisions that they will have to make. And then they're going to have young guys who's been pretty much in their developmental stage with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're talking about Nikola Topic, Jared McCain, Thomas Sorber, and a number of other young guys too, the other Jalen Williams. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be some decisions that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to have to make. And what I want from my front office and hope that Bryson Graham can do is spot things early. They talked a lot about having foresight in press conferences between himself and Bryson Graham, and with Michael Reinsdorf, guys that can notice trends and take advantage early. So with us viewing this as an opportunity to say, hey, let me go and look at a said player like a Cason Wallace, who's really good on the defensive side and offensively and fits that basketball player that wants to play both sides of the basketball, and with an increased role, will that be something that interests the Chicago Bulls? You'll get them on the low for the 26-27 season, and then when it's time for restricted free agency, you go out there and you make some moves. You go out there and extend them early. You're going to have the first opportunity at re-signing this player and having him around the basketball team. Now, I know that some people is going to be like, well, I know that the Chicago Bulls traded with the Oklahoma City Thunder last time, and look what it got us. It got us Josh Giddey, no first-round picks, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. But I think that we have to allow some grace for a guy like Bryson Graham. We have to allow some type of grace for that. And another reason that I'm bringing this up now is simply because we look at some of the good off-season moves or in-season moves to where teams, they focused on their guy, went and got their guy, and it changed the trajectory of the team or resulted in some type of success. These type of moves, what I'm talking about is like the New York Knicks going after Jalen Brunson, having the foresight to say, hey, we see how well he was doing next to Luka, but what if he's our guy now in an increased role, not having to per se share the ball with a Luka Doncic type? What can he do for us? And they were right. You look at Tyrese Halliburton with the Sacramento Kings alongside De'Aaron Fox, the Indiana Pacers. They had foresight and ended up in the finals. He did get hurt last season, in those finals, and did not participate in basketball last season. But we can anticipate that there's more success on the way. In the last one, Dyson Daniels. Look at the move that was made to get him out of New Orleans into the Atlanta Hawks organization and how that's turning their franchise around. So the point is that should Cason Wallace be an early trade target for the Chicago Bulls? I will say absolutely. You go out there and you try to get creative. See if you can move off guys like Trey Jones, who's more locked in, on a cheaper deal that they will not have to worry about. Maybe you do have to cough up some draft capital to go and get them, but if you're negotiating, you shouldn't be mortgaging the house. You know what I mean? So I believe this is something that should be on a lot of our radar. This is very early to be discussing this, but it's definitely a creative way for the Chicago Bulls to utilize their cap space to pay a young player like a Cason Wallace and see how he thrives in a more expanded role. Because we know if he's lined up, let's just say for this season, next to Josh Giddey, his role is going to increase largely. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to be that combo guard that will be able to help the Chicago Bulls on both sides of the basketball. So it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting discussion. You let me know how you all feel about that, because I think as a GM, as a front office, you want guys in the building who can have some type of insight or foresight to go out there and make moves before a guy reaches peak value, or, you know what I mean? Or you see a trend that this player, if he receives, or you believe that if he receives more playing time, he has an opportunity to go out there and help your basketball team. All of us are looking at this San Antonio and Oklahoma City Thunder playoff series, and we're looking like, hey, Philly, why did you guys trade Jared McCain? We're looking at that as being a bad trade, because with all those injuries and the need of bench help in that series that the Philadelphia Sixers just played, they needed the scoring of a Jared McCain. So Sam Presti wins again, And I'm not expecting Bryson Graham to be Sam Presti. We're going to have to see what Bryson Graham is going to be and create for himself. But the point is that I'm interested into seeing how he maneuvers. And this is a great opportunity just to go out there and fill some things out and potentially grab a really good basketball player to add to the Chicago Bulls, man. We'll see what happens with it. You let me know how y'all feeling about it. Those are just my thoughts that I wanted to put out there. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now let's shift on over and talk about Labaron Philon out of Alabama. I know it's not Banama. I know it's not Banama, ladies and gentlemen. That's just something my baby sister used to say when she was really, really young. She used to say Alabama. I don't know why. That's just what she used to say. But we know he from Bama. This is a guard, 6'4", a little light, about 170 pounds. You know what I'm saying? But is a sophomore coming out of Alabama. And when the Chicago Bulls reach 15, I believe they're going to have some options. I don't believe that Mara is going to be there for the Chicago Bulls, but I do believe they're going to have options. We're talking about Quaintance. We're talking about Morez Johnson. We're talking about potentially Cameron Carr. And I think Labaron Philon could potentially be in that group, probably however you want to rank them, in that group of basketball players that could potentially be available for the Chicago Bulls. Now, when we talk about Labaron, you're going to talk about how from his freshman season, he only scored 10 points and then increased that to 22. And that's very impressive for a guy like this. When you watch him offensively, he got a bag. I think he has a really nice handle. I believe he can get to the basket well. He can shoot the ball well. We're talking about going from a 31% three-point shooter to a 39% three-point shooter. And that shows growth. That shows me that he's growing because he still, in his freshman year, played 37 games. And then last year, starting 32 games, you see the production all across the board increase. So offensively, he's ready. Defensively, I want to see a little bit more. He can pass the ball well. I think that he will be able to fit in certain aspects if the Chicago Bulls are looking for a guard with that 15th pick because, because at the 4th pick, if you come out with a power forward, do you want to go with another forward? That's something that the Chicago Bulls will have to see. Do you want to go with the guard, or will you want to look at a center? So I think that if we are having this conversation about Labaron, I think that is one that's very interesting. I think he can provide both things that the Chicago Bulls are looking for. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I believe he was on the Chicago Bulls radar per se, or at least there was some rumors that were there, but playing at Alabama and getting it out the mud because he's from the area, you got to show a lot of credit to him and give credit what credit is due as an offensive player and a defensive player who can still improve, in my personal opinion. He brings a lot to the table, man. We talking about increasing his value and averaging a steal a game. So it might not say the best on the defensive side, but offensively, I believe he's ready to contribute to a team. And we'll see what happens with that, man. But hey, that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode, man. Y'all let me know your thoughts down below as if that's something that you think the Chicago Bulls should be doing. Should Cason Wallace be an early trade target for the Chicago Bulls? Again, getting creative and utilizing their cap space on players that can help, that will be entering restricted free agency. That's my position on it. You let me know your position on it and drop your comments and your thoughts on Labaron Philon. Let me know down below. We on that road to 10K. So make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, man. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you always see red. And y'all already know we're going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace. Cognac. Gang.